You know, some of the best stories, they've got another story hiding right underneath the surface. It's the kind of thing you won't see on screen, but once you know it's there, you can never, ever unsee it.
So, get this. There's this amazing fan theory that Pixar's 2001 classic, Monsters, Inc. isn't really just about furry monsters hiding in your closet. The theory is that it's secretly an allegory for the incredibly tense, high-stakes relationship between Pixar and its distributor at the time, the Walt Disney Company.
And the theory is so compelling because, man, the pieces just fit together so perfectly. Here's how it breaks down. The scream shortage that's crippling Monstropolis, that's a stand-in for Disney's creative slump back then. The desperate CEO, Mr. Waternoose, he's a parallel for Disney CEO Michael Eisner, and that horrible scream extractor machine, that's a metaphor for the cheap direct-to-video sequels Disney was pumping out. And our heroes, Sully and Mike, the guys who find a better way, well, that's Pixar itself.
Okay, so to really see if this whole theory holds water, we gotta jump in the time machine and go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, because at that time, these two studios were on completely different trajectories.
So back around 2001, Disney, well, they were in a tough spot. Their legendary animation department was really hitting a rough patch. To make up for it, the studio started relying on churning out all these direct-to-video sequels that, let's be honest, were not great. The situation got so bad that Walt Disney's own nephew, Roy Disney, came out and publicly called the company under CEO Michael Eisner rapacious and soulless. I mean, wow, that's coming from inside the family.
Meanwhile, on the complete other side of the tracks, you had Pixar, and they were just batting 1,000. They were on this unbelievable hot streak of movies that were both critical darlings and box office giants. Like one critic said, Pixar was basically making Disney movies better than Disney was. They were untouchable. And you know, there is no better example of this creative clash, this total difference in philosophy, than the crazy production of Toy Story 2. This is the perfect case study. And this right here, this just says it all. Disney's plan for Toy Story 2 was just a quick, cheap, direct-to-video sequel. But when the creative team at Pixar actually saw what was being made, they were horrified. John Lasseter and his story team famously took over, scrapped everything, and reworked the entire movie in one weekend. Why? Because they just refused to put their name on something that wasn't great.
Right, so this wasn't just some artsy disagreement happening behind closed doors. Oh no, this creative tension, it spilled over. It became a massive business crisis that almost blew up the most successful partnership in animation history.
And at the heart of it all was their 5-picture deal. The setup was simple. Pixar makes the movies, Disney distributes them. But as Pixar's movies got bigger and bigger, Pixar, with Steve Jobs at the helm, was starting to feel like the deal was seriously lopsided, you know? Way too much in Disney's favor.
But here's the real kicker. Here's where things got really messy. Even though Disney was the one pushing for more sequels, CEO Michael Eisner argued that a movie like Toy Story 2 shouldn't count toward that 5-picture contract. So from Pixar's point of view, it was like, wait a minute, you want us to make these hit sequels, but they don't even count towards our deal? It was a raw deal.
So just hold that thought for a second, that feeling of corporate pressure, of desperation. And now listen to this line from Mr. Waternoose, the villain in Monsters, Inc.
The theory goes that Waternoose's whole scream extractor scheme, that's a perfect metaphor for Disney's sequel strategy. It's a shortcut, a way to just rip value out of an audience instead of doing the hard work of making a real emotional connection, all to save a company that was struggling.
Eventually, something had to give. The tension just got to be too much. And on this date, January 29, 2004, after 10 long months of failed talks, the whole thing just blew up. The partnership was over.
Steve Jobs himself dropped this bombshell of a statement, basically telling the world, we're done. We tried, it didn't work, and we're moving on. For Hollywood, this was huge. Pixar was looking for a new home.
But, and this is where the story gets really wild, the story doesn't end there. In a crazy twist of fate, the guy who just walked away from Disney, he would end up being the very person who helped save it.
So, after a big leadership change at Disney, the new CEO, Bob Iger, pulls off this absolutely stunning move. In 2006, Disney straight up buys Pixar. And just like that, Steve Jobs goes from being their biggest rival to being Disney's largest single shareholder. He's on the board of directors. He's in the room. And according to Bob Iger himself, Jobs wasn't just some guy on the board. He was a trusted friend, a key advisor. I mean, when Disney was thinking about buying Marvel, Iger called Jobs. He was that influential, helping to shape the future of a company he'd once been at war with.
And this right here brings us full circle back to that Monsters, Inc. theory. See, if water noose was the old, desperate way of doing things, then Steve Jobs becomes the Sully of the story. He's the innovator who comes in, takes charge, and shows everyone a better, more powerful way.
So, what was this better way? What was the real-life version of discovering that laughter is 10 times more powerful than screams? Well, it all came down to a pretty simple but totally revolutionary creative process. They call it the Braintrust, and this is basically the secret sauce to Pixar's success. It's a meeting where a group of their top creative minds get together and give completely honest, candid feedback on movies that are in the works. But here's the key. Their job is not to tell the director how to fix it. Their job is just to help the director see the problems clearly. So, after the big merger, they brought this Braintrust idea over to Disney Animation, which, let's be honest, had been struggling. And the result? It was like a lightning bolt, a total creative renaissance. It directly led to this new golden age of hits. We're talking Frozen, Big Hero 6. It put Disney Animation right back on top.
And just like that, it's like the secret message of Monsters, Inc. literally came true in the real world. The philosophy of laughter, of genuine creativity and story-driven connection proved to be way, way more powerful and a whole lot more profitable than Scream.
I mean, look at the difference. It's night and day, right? On one side, you have forced extraction, cheap sequels, and basically exploiting your audience. And on the other, you have genuine connection, great storytelling, and entertaining them. In the end, it was pretty clear which one was the more powerful energy source.
So, was this whole allegory intentional or just a crazy happy accident? Who knows? But it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are just hiding in plain sight in the movies you love?